Hey, welcome back. This is Christopher Moldong, and I will be doing reviews for Rave Master Volume 16 to 20. Be warned, there will have spoilers. I am also the author of the fantasy adventure novel The Mustard Prince and the Condiment Kingdom. You can buy this novel for $4.99 on my author's website at www.chrismoldon.com on PDF format, or if you have an ebook reader such as Kindle, you can buy it on Amazon.com for $4.99. From my author's website or Amazon.com, you can also buy my short stories for only $1.99, such as The Land of the Wooden Statues, my horror collection, which is a compilation of 3 of my gothic horror short stories, and my fantasy fable collection, which is a compilation of 4 of my fantasy short stories. Um, a lot of my influences actually are for a lot of my fantasy stories are manga and anime. Um, you can also follow me on Twitter and like my author's page on Facebook. Links to all these will be provided on the description below. Um, so, the previous volumes that I reviewed for Rave Master 11 through 15 ended with Doryu stabbing Haru while Ruby looks on. So let's start with volume 16. Doryu announces that Haru Glory is dead. Ruby's bell turns into a sword, and a voice in his head tells him to pierce the ground with that sword. Both Ruby and Haru then vanish out of like Doryu's um, area, or his flying fortress creature. So what happens? They get transported, and they meet Dalmatian, who is one of the knights of the 4 Knights of the Blue Sky, in a remote deep sea shrine. Dalmatian tells Ruby that it'll take a year for Haru's wounds to heal. He then also tells Ruby that his bell that turns into a sword was actually his own sword, Holy Bell, but it found its way to Ruby. Um, so back on Creature, which is like Doryu's fortress, like flying fortress, pretty much. Lilith gives a captured Ellie a potion that can kill her if she drinks it. As this is happening, Ogre and the Oni are doing their own thing on the River Sally. So Musica sneaks into the River Sally. Reina of the Operation 6 is also in the River Sally with Sopa and Range, which is a part of her corpse, or her team pretty much. But during this whole time, Reina is in just really bad shape. She's got these bad headaches. She's just not in like 100%. Musica eventually finds Reina, and they just run into each other pretty much, and they decide to help each other. Musica then figures out that the River Sally is really the Silver Ray, which is the weapon slash, it looks like a ship that they've both been looking for. Both Reina and Musica have been looking for. So this River Sally. And if you actually switch the words around, so it's a anagram or something like that. River Sally and Silver Ray, yeah. Musica actually wants to use or the Silver Ray to defeat Doryu. Reina doesn't want any of that at all. Um, so the thing with the Silver Ray though is, as far as its destructive capabilities are concerned, it's not on yet. Like, there's a secret password to make it into like the weapon that it could be. So Ogre's trying to figure out this password, and then Reina and Miska show up, and Ogre figures that the password is actually Reina, Reina. So, the Silver Ray is now activated to be pretty much this warship of destruction. So Reina and Miska fight Ogre, and it turns out that Reina and Muska are both silver claimers, and Ogre is a gold claimer, which is like the top of the alchemy chain. Um, so as a fight, Muska learns to manipulate gold himself. So he can do some gold claiming himself. He just kind of learns it. Um, Kind of just stating, look, if I can do this with it's metal. If I can do this with silver, I can do it with gold. It's just a little harder. Um, so they fight, and then Reina and Muska defeat Ogre using the ultimate silver claiming technique called Silver Bonds. It takes two people to use it, and they have to trust each other completely. So they use it on Ogre, and it works. They defeat Ogre. Right now, though, the Silver Ray is pretty much uncontrollable. It's going to just destroy everything in its path. So Reina and Muska both have to use Silver Bonds to destroy it, the Silver Ray, knowing that it will cost them their own lives. So they agree to do that, right? So before they use the Silver Bonds, Reina kisses Musica and then pushes him off of the Silver Ray, but stays connected with him through this like I don't want it's not a chain of silver, but this like string of silver, I suppose, or rope of silver, whatever you want to call it. Um, but yeah, she still stays connected with Musica because apparently they can still use silver bonds as long as they're connected. During this time, like, so Reina's just about to kill herself, pretty much. Reina imagines life with Muska, dating him, having kids with him, and whatnot. And Muska's pretty much in the ocean, and he has to make this decision to use silver bonds to destroy the Silver Ray, which will also kill Reina. And it goes back to the prophecy that Saga Pendragon told him that he has to make this really hard decision, in the South. Muska and Reina, Muska decides to use silver bonds, and Reina dies, pretty much. So from the Silver Ray, uh, there's a spear that ends up next to Musica, which is actually the Silver Ray. It in that like shonen manga like existential sense. It carries like the soul and essence of Reina inside of it. So like the idea is like even after death, she's still fighting with Musica. It's actually one of the best scenes of Rave Master so far. As it is actually quite sad. Very very tragic. Very unfortunate for Musica. I personally would have liked to see these two end up together and being a couple and whatnot, but I guess it wasn't meant to be in that way. So elsewhere, Haru he escapes from the deep sea shrine to fight Doryu. He's supposed to rest up for a year. But at the end of the volume, he tells Ruby that he'll reveal who'll be the third Rave Master, so the next Rave Master after him. It also hints at like Haru's going to fight Doryu, with the very real possibility that Haru will die fighting him. So in volume 17, pretty much they all fight Doryu. Let, Muska, they go back up to the creature. Caesar worship, Muska, and all them. They all fight Doryu. So there's also this side comic that's been going on called Levin Mind's House, where he pretty much has these interactions with Nakajima. And it's pretty much revealed that Levin, who's being watched by Nakajima, is Haru and Ellie's son. So those little side comics that's going on. So back to the main story. Doryu attacks them with a spell called Nightmare Spread. But Ruby uses magic to change everyone's affinity. So this is a dark like magic. So Ruby changes everyone's affinity to dark so it doesn't hurt them. So there's also water, sea, flame, and different types of affinities. Um, Dory also tries another attack, and then Ruby uses magic reflection to repel that. After that, Doryu tells them of his backstory, where he was this like demon centinoid who I think he went to the human world, and he was the mayor of a city he built called Olbesk, where humans and centinoids live together. Something happens, similar to like an Edward Scissorhands scene, where pretty much like one centinoid with claws is playing with his human, but because he has claws, like he scratches his face. You know, like he's not trying to scratch his face. It's just that his hands are like that. Say Edward hit Scissorhands because there's a scene just like that where he's like cutting this kid's face by total accident. He doesn't mean to. That pretty much starts a conflict between the humans and centinoids. The humans pretty much drive out all the centinoids, and Doryu stays, but they pretty much just keep beating him up, and then they eventually just imprison him into darkness. And in this darkness, he finds the Sinclair Stone. Um, so night arrives, and Doryu reveals his true form. Lilith then reveals that Doryu was a Mystic Realm king. You know, he wasn't just like some guy. He was one of those like a head honcho of like the Mystic Realm. Doryu then kills Lilith, who was his like subordinate. Um, so Haru then uses the 10 powers of Sword's eighth form, which is a light affinity blade, and which has this attack called Million Suns, which is like this light attack. Celia also uses a mini Etherion, which is Etherion's like the power that like Ellie can use. And with that, everyone else fighting Doryu plus the Million Suns attack, they all defeat Doryu. At the end of the volume, Haru actually just begins to disappear. At the beginning of volume 18, Haru actually disappears. Everyone thinks that he died, but Dalmatian comes along and he tells them that he sent Haru into the light. So he wasn't like dead at all. He just sent him back into this like light to like heal him. So you know he's alive. So Musica, yeah, he goes and sees Soper in range, and his skull, like he has a skull necklace that's that's silver, but now it's a skull necklace wrapped with this like silver snake around it. So he goes and sees him. He doesn't say anything, but they figure out that Rain has died. It's pretty sad. And then back in Modessa, they have the Star Song Festival. They all just kind of party and whatnot. And then they all leave Modessa, but Uni, who's pretty much like Griff with the like Oni horn, and Celia, they stay behind. So they're journeying, and then Dalmatian takes him to an island where the Sword of God, which is like gigantic sword, landed on this island and slayed everyone on this island. Haru destroys the Sword of God and is given the Rave of Destiny while Dalmatian vanishes. So he's like fulfilled his mission. So elsewhere, this thing called Project DR is launched by Lucia, where he gathers the Blue Guardians with the help of Julius Megiddo, who's actually one of like a lord of the Mystic Realm. Burial gets Megiddo. He's one of 4 demon lords. Shakuma, the world's mightiest sorcerer, like Haja convinces Shakuma to like join up with them. And a quarter of the Imperial army defected to Demon Guard. So they all join Lucia, and this is called the Dark Rendezvous. Rendezvous. I can't say it right for some reason. Where a new demon card is born. So the next two chapters are pretty much just comedy chapters. Um, the the next chapter is they go to this town, and it's just sort of parody of like Rave, pretty much, of Rave Master, where they go to this town where like the creator of Rave Master, Hiro Mishima, is in this town. He needs to make like the next chapter for Rave Master, and he's having a really hard time and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. Not pertinent to the storyline. And then the next chapter that after that, not pertinent to the storyline, but it actually has the Jigglebutt gang, and they're in jail. And it turns out, like at the very end of the volume, it turns out that like the main guy of the Jigglebutt gang, he's talking to this old guy, and it turns out, in like the next cell over, and it turns out that that old guy was his dad. Um, so elsewhere, in the next chapter, Alpha and Spaniel of the Knights of the Blue Sky, he sends Sheba a letter to, and Sheba's still in Garage Island. Elsewhere, Sieg Hart, he's like inspecting, inspecting a town or something that was like destroyed or something like that, and then he meets up with Shuda. So with that said, Haru and the gang, they head east by ship, and it turns out it's actually a flying ship as well. But Jagan of Duration 6, the dragon guy, and an army of dragons attack them. The Rave of Destiny apparently has a power of prophecy, which pretty much just allows Saga to speak with them. At the end of the volume, Let is about to fight Jagan. So at the beginning of the volume, Let is fighting Jagan. You also see that Ellie has a dream where she is inside someplace. It looks like a house with someone named Kane. I think he's actually pointed out in a previous volume. So back to the fight with Let and Jagan. Let uses an ultimate secret art called the Roar of the Dragon God, where he trades his life for the power of the Dragon God. Jagan then reveals his past with Let and Julia. Or he doesn't reveal it, he just kind of remembers it or something. And it's been explained that like when he was younger, he's just like loner. Julia meets up with him, introduces him to Let and like all the other kids, and then they go to another scene where like Jagan and them, they're all older, and there's this tournament, and Jagan like participates and wins it, and he beats Let apparently, but he then finds out that Julia and Let have a relationship. So that makes him angry because he's like the winner of the tournament, and he still love Let regardless, even though like Jagan's like the strongest. So he has some issues with that. During the fight, Let reveals that he considered Jagan a friend a long ago, or a false friend. Let then, with the Roar of the Dragon God and being the Dragon God, he defeats Jagan, and then Let just falls to his death. I think Jagan does too, actually. Let then, as he's falling, he reveals that he gave the Dragon Julia one of Alice's elixirs, and it looks like she drank it. So they show a dragon turning into a woman, and then that woman kisses Let. It's assumed that's probably Julia. So Let is alive, as Julia reveals that she did not drink the whole elixir, but gave some to Let when she kissed him, pretty much. So they go to the city. Well, they don't go to the city, so they're pretty much done. And then they show that Jagan is in this city called Wrist Dome, which is his roof city. That's a city with this big roof. And a woman named Jaina finds Jagan and helps revive him. Jagan runs into his brother at Wrist Dome, General Jade of the Imperial Army. Um, and then they talk, they part. Jagan does his own thing, tries to like help out Jaina and whatnot. It looks like things are going to go well for Jagan. And then Shakama appears. The world's mightiest sorcerer appears in the sky above Ristom, and he summons a meteor shower that destroys the roof because it has, and the roof collapses on the city and destroys the whole city and kills all the people. Hodge is just watching. Hodge the Infinite is just watching as this happens. So, Jagan and Jaina die. Um, it's as Jagan tries to protect her, but General Jade actually manages to survive. Haja then retrieves one of the Sinclair stones that Jagan was holding on to. So in another scene, it shows that Lucia is not on his throne in Demon Card headquarters, and says that he will take the last Sinclair himself, the one that like Haru's looking for. Um, so they're pretty much on land now, Haru and the gang, and but they're all injured from their like fight with the dragons and whatnot. So Deep Snow is pretty much who's now like the newest member of Duration Six, uh, and his cronies, pretty much his goon squad, really. They chase after and attack Haru and his group. Um, One of the important cronies of his is named Lazenby. Um, he's one of Deep Snow's men, and he attacks Haru and his group. So Haru and his friends, um, they tried to fight his like Deep Snow's cronies, um, but they're injured. Haru didn't have his sword at this time, and whatnot. Um, and Lazenby is actually pretty strong in attacking them. So they're retreating. So Haru and his friends are retreating. And they pass by this hooded man that seems to know Haru. And it turns out to be Shuda. So Shuda goes, just fights all of the Deep Snow's minions. Easily disposes of them. But Haru takes Lazenby with him. Because like Lazenby, he wanted to be a good guy and thought he was a good guy the whole time, but it looks like he was just tricked into thinking like, Haru was like the bad guy and whatnot, and Lazenby was doing good by working with Demon Card. So, at the end of the volume, it looks like Shuda is about to fight Deep Snow. So, into volume 20, Deep Snow fights Shuda, and Deep Snow reveals that he has a Type 56 Darkbring attached to his chest. Remember, there's not just like there's your standard Darkbring, there's your special Darkbring, there's your so many star Darkbring, there's your Sinclair Darkbring, and now there's a Type 56 Darkbring. So, you know, um, they got to go bigger, obviously. So they show a backstory, and it shows pretty much King as he's wandering like the wilderness and whatnot. Um, this is pretty much takes place after the Imperial Army destroyed Demon Card headquarters and killed his wife, and thought to have killed his son, Lucia, but that wasn't the case. So it shows him, he's wandering around, and it shows him finding a Demon Card laboratory. And then Dr. Igor Kilkilla is introduced. And he is experimenting on new weapons and Darkbring. The doctor introduces King to a baby that survived his experiments, and King names him Deep Snow. So Deep Snow thinks of King as his father, but believes that King sent him away because he is afraid of Deep Snow's power. So, while this is happening, Shuda reveals that he has Gale Glory's sword. So Haru's father's sword, Shuda has it. So in a flashback, after Haru's battle with Shuda, apparently Shuda was also wandering, and he finds Gale Glory. And then Shuda reveals to Gale that Haru's the next Rave Master, and that the Enclave claim is coming. So it kind of ties into like how Gale appeared at the Tower of Din to begin with. It's like, oh, okay, Shuda saw him, told him what's going on and whatnot. So in this flashback, Shuda offers to fight King with Gale, but Gale refuses and gives Shuda his sword, Heavenly Blossom. Uh, and instead of Gale and Shuda fighting King together, Gale just begs Shuda to pretty much just protect his family. So yeah, she doesn't go with him. And it looks like that's what Shuda's doing right now. So Shuda and Deep Snow, they fight, and Shuda eventually he defeats Deep Snow, and then, like, as Deep Snow is defeated on the ground, Shuda reveals to him that King thought of Deep Snow as, like, his other son. Shuda almost kills Deep Snow, but stops himself when he sees him crying for his father, King. It really goes to show that Shuda has greatly changed as a character there. Haru and his friends, they end up at the Star Vestige Cave where they meet Evermary. Evermary tells them that Star Memory was at the Star Vestige Cave a long time ago. It also reveals to Haru that he pretty much raised Gale as well. Haru and the gang, they touch one of the crystals. It's like this, like, the Star Vestige Cave, it pretty much has all these, like, crystals that are apparently, like, stored memory or something like that. So when they touch one of the crystals, it, like, reveals past memories. The only one that doesn't touch it is Ellie. She's really hesitant to do so. So, Evermary, he also reveals that Star Memory, where everyone is headed to, including Lucia, is a place where one can manipulate time and space. So later on in that evening, Ellie is about to touch one of the crystals to reveal her memory, but Lucia shows up before she can. Haru is like with her like this whole time, so Haru and Lucia fight, and Haru actually gets the better of him. He's actually beating him up more. So as this is happening, like, Muska awakens. He was asleep during this whole time this happened. I think he wakes up. Shuda comes along. He's kind of watching from above. He's in this, like, higher elevation place above them. So Muska, Ellie, and Shuda all notice something different about Haru. And then Haru uses a ninth form of the 10 power sword, the Bloodlust sword Sacrifice, that makes Haru pretty much into this super strong. But he becomes this like berserker, where like the sword seems to have like taken over him. Haru actually defeats Lucia, but the sword now has engulfed all of Haru's right arm. So it's kind of like he's holding on to the sword, but it's kind of like growing. I'd say like a root or something, or just like something's growing around that's emanating, starting from the sword and growing into like Haru's right arm. So at the end of the volume, Haru actually looks like he's about to kill Lucia. So that's it for the volumes there. On to my thoughts. Haru didn't die. I mean, he's the protagonist and the hero, the lead protagonist in the hero's story. So, I mean, it's good he didn't die, but it's highly expected, It'd been interesting if he did, from, like, Doryu, but, it didn't happen. He almost died. I gotta say, Ruby really stepped up in these volumes, and he seems to be showing some real value to the group now, where, like, before he was just, like, kind of there, Now he actually has some, like, powers that can actually help the group. The stuff with Mizuka and Reina, just really well done. I mean, it's just really sad to see Reina die. And, she wasn't a villain at the end. I thought that Reina and Misuka had a really good rapport and relationship with each other. You know, she was like this strong character who can pretty much like keep up with Misuka in the sense that she's not going to take any real flack from him. She can hold her own in a fight. You know, they're both silver claimers. I mean, hey, seem to have really gone along. It's actually once again, it's really sad that Reina and Misuka did not end up together. Also, was sad was Dory's backstory, man. I mean, that was sad too. There's this part of it was like he helps his kid, and kid thinks that Dory's like really cool, and that like these Sentinels are really cool. And then like later on, you see the same kid, kind of grown up. Maybe he's a teen or young adult now, and he helps beat up. Like he's helping like beat up Dory and saying how like Sentinels don't belong with humans. It was really sad. And it just made him a really sympathetic character. It gave him some real motivation to be who he became. Everything that happened to Dory was just really unfair. Obviously, he made the town. He became the mayor. He only had great intentions for this like human Sentinel town. Where everyone can live together. It's like nothing but good intentions, and everything was going well. Um, it's really sad actually to see what happened to him, and you know, it in a sense it kind of justifies like what Doryu's been doing. Um, the battle against Doryu was pretty epic. Everyone really fought. They really struggled, and they got really hurt from the fight as well. Like, when they're fighting Doryu, it seemed like there was this real feeling that everyone was putting everything they had to defeat him. The stakes seemed really high. I mean, he already almost killed Haru, and the win wasn't particularly easy. He had these mini Ethereum. Muska had like the Silver Ray Spear. Let was fighting as well. So, yeah, there's some like real stakes in that fight. Like I said, I didn't really feel that deep, or because like when he fights like Deep Snow, like I don't really feel that he's like such a threat, but Doryu definitely was. The Dark Rendezvous, that was really interesting too. It established a lot of these new villains and threats to Haru and his group, and they all just pretty much like right now. There's Lucia and the Eurasian Six, who are just really strong. Duration 6 already beat Haru and his group previously. And all these new villains appear to be stronger than Duration 6. Megiddo, Shakama, and whatnot. So, yeah. It looks like Shiba won't be on the move as well. We'll see what happens with him. I like the battle between Let and Jagan. Let really got to show off his skills and his power. Obviously, he has some attacks that he's hiding. The Roar of the Dragon God and whatnot. That actually reminds me of Yu Hakusho. There's that one character who can get, like, the power of a dragon. This, like, Dragon God. Jeez. I haven't watched Yu Hakusho in a long time, though. And I totally forgot the guy's name. I forgot all their names. I haven't seen that show in like years. So, sorry guys if you're a fan of the show. I just haven't watched that in many, many, many years. I have to think that both Let and Julia will join up with Haru's group in future volumes. Shakama too, man. He really showed off his potency by destroying Ristom. I mean, he's just summoning meteors. He has like intergalactic magic, pretty much. Spatial magic or whatever you want to call it. It's really sad. A lot of things are really sad here. It's sad to see an apparently changed Jagan die protecting Jaina. You just can't have a happy ending, I guess. And like I said before, I didn't really get the impression that Deep Snow and his team were that much of a threat to Haru. His men were pretty much Goon Squad, and they only got the better of the protagonist because they were like injured and whatnot. The fight between Shooter and Deep Snow though was really neat. and it appears that Haru's gaining more like these like really strong comrades. Like Seaguard's like really strong, and now he has like Shuda kind of on his side as well. It looks like there's still a lot to unfold with Ellie's past. Like who's Kame? Who's this Kame guy? You know. I was actually a bit surprised to see Haru get the better of Lucia. You know, Lucia is the main antagonist of the story, and I would assume that he's just like super strong. He leads Demon Card, who has these really strong members and whatnot. You know, so to see him get the better of like Haru get the better of him at this point of the story is actually quite a surprise. So yeah, that's it for this review of Rave Master Volume 16 to 20. Join me for my reviews of Rave Master Volumes 21 to 25. We are now a little more than halfway through Rave Master, and I think that the next manga I'll review will be Basra after I finish reviewing the whole Rave Master series. Basra is one of my favorite manga series out there. If you haven't read it, read it. It's awesome. And also, please check out my website at www.chrismondon.com. Follow me on Twitter. Like my Facebook authors page. And you know what? Buy one of my stories on my author's website or on Amazon.com. I'll have the links provided for you in the description. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And thanks, guys. I hope to see you guys soon. And yeah, that's all. Thanks.